Yo, okay, I've cleared every ffxiv ultimate on White Mage, and I want to just rank the White Mage abilities real quick. I'm going to be scoring them based on how strong they are, how interesting they are, and how cool the animation is. And if you think that sounds like a meme way to rank things, you're not wrong. Alright, starting off with Tetra. So Dawntrail made Tetra 2 charges, and it's actually really good now. Extremely solid single target healing option. The cooldown isn't crazy. A solid heal on a 60-second cooldown. Tetra is invited to my birthday party. Temperance. Yeah, it is definitely a goated White Mage ability. It's White Mage's only party mitt, but it makes you look cool as F. The wings alone makes this goated since it just looks sick and it has a very satisfying sound when you pop it. Scholar also got a stance move in Dawntrail, but Temperance is the OG. Then Air. It's alright. White Mage doesn't really struggle with mana since it has 0 cost lilies, but being able to make a res cost 0 or medica cost 0 every now and then is fine. Regen. Honestly, Regen is invited to the birthday party. Sure, it's a healing GCD, which is never really used in optimal play, but when you want someone to live like a tank taking autos or a DPS, they will live if they have a regen. In DSR, when I was progging P6, I could use a regen on the tank, and I knew I wouldn't have to monitor their HP for the next 15 seconds because they're gonna be fine. Raise. Raise is a raise. Nothing crazy about it, every healer has it. Presence of Mind. So this is White Mage's main 2 minutes. As far as 2 minutes go, it's kinda whatever. Throughout the entire cast, it gives you 1 extra GCD from the cast speed you get from it. 1 extra glare doesn't really sound a lot when you put it like that. However, a spell speed increase does help with prog and recovery, which is a cool thing to play around. So being able to use it as a prog tool, it's invited to the birthday party. Confession. 60 seconds, it buffs your AoE heals by a flat amount. You can use it multiple times. Yeah, Confession is actually really great with the synergy it has with your lilies. If it didn't work on your lilies, it would be pretty trash, but since lilies exist, it's great. Medica 2, also Medica 3 technically. It's alright, thumbs up emoji. It's nice because when you're out of gauge, like if you just died or something, Medica 3 will always be there for you. It's your last resort backup for group healing, and it's a pretty strong, impactful GCD heal. Medica 1. Alright, this thing, just delete Medica 1. I don't care if it goes and doesn't even get replaced by anything. You pretty much never ever use this. The only time you would ever use Medica 1 is in level 70 and below content where you don't have your AoE lilies unlocked. Like, I think the last time I used this was when I was progging Uwu 2 years ago. Lilybell. Absolutely goated. It's aesthetically very pleasing the way it keeps dinging when there's multiple hits, and every time it pulses, it's very satisfying. This thing really pops off under specific situations, and it's almost a AoE team invuln with how much it heals, because you're not dying to damage with it anytime soon. Holy, it's your main AoE, use this to clear trash in the dungeon. The cast time got reduced in Dawntrail, which makes it a little less clunky, and it's solid. Glare, I will say out of all the main healer damage GCDs, Glare looks the coolest. It also happens to do the most damage. So based on that alone, invited to the birthday party. Divine Benison. For what it does, it's okay, it's just a single target shield. It's not a terrible amount shield either. However, the main thing about Divine Benison is its application time is way too long and clunky. It's like a solid 2 seconds before it actually gets applied to the person you're using it on. And it feels really bad when you're trying to use it to save someone, and when you're trying to save someone, you see they have the buff on them, but it doesn't go through because the shield takes forever to go on for some reason. If they made it snappy, it'd be a really great tool, and it still is because mitigation is always useful. But man, I really wish they would make it snappier, especially because it's one of those tools that you really want to be snappy because it can save someone. It's going in, cat falling over tier. Dia, white mage's dot. It's a dot. It's not really cool looking particularly. Just hit it once every 30 seconds and that's it. So Cure 3. It's the GCD heal with the biggest heal potency amount in the game. It kind of sucks because the range is really small and you're probably going to miss people with it, but it's just a raw chunky heal, which is pretty good for recovery situations. It rarely gets used because you kind of always want a medica as a priority over it, but if you already have a medica ticking and you need to heal people ASAP, it's alright. So I can forgive its low range. It comes in clutch when you need it. Cure 2. You pretty much never use this in level 100 white mage. It just gets completely outclassed by the single target lily. And you don't even use the single target lily TVH, which just shows how bad it is. It still has its purpose though, being a single target heal, but normally you would just use a regen instead. Cure 1, yeah, please delete this or rework it so noobs stop using it in dungeons. It is functionally completely worthless if you have other abilities. Benediction. So Benediction used to be pretty good, being just a flat heal your target to full, but it honestly kind of got power crept by other abilities throughout its time. You don't even get to combo it with Living Dead anymore because Dark Knights can just heal himself. And the fact that it's a 3-minute cooldown makes this extremely unwieldy to use. Most of the time, it's functionally the same as just a normal Tetra, except with a 3 times longer cooldown. It can come in clutch to save someone in extreme recovery situations, but if they reduce this to like a 2-minute cooldown or something, it'd make it feel a lot less bad. But compared to something like Essential Dignity that Astro has, it's just, I'd much rather have Essential Dignity over Benediction. So Asylum, it's a placeable heal over time, one of White Mage's only OGCD heals, and it's pretty good. I feel pretty safe whenever there's an Asylum down, because the healing is actually pretty decent. The cooldown's not terrible, and it looks pretty cool. Divine Caress. So this is Temperance's bonus button that White Mage just got in Dawn Trail. So White Mage pretty desperately needed extra mit compared to Astra, which is just completely chock full of team mit to make it comparable. And they got it, except it's tied to a 2-minute cooldown on Temperance. So you pretty much always have to use them at the same time. If it was a standalone button, White Mage would become actually pretty sick, but unfortunately it's tied to Temperance. However, despite being tied to it, it's still pretty good and I'm happy it's there. It's coming to the birthday party. So Glare 4. This is White Mage's extra button it got in Dawn Trail. You get it when you get 3 stacks of it when you activate Presence of Mind. And it feels really good. It has no mana cost, which makes White Mage's mana economy even better, which it didn't really need. It does extra damage compared to normal glares, and it's instant cast, which is maybe its best draw. So 3 extra free movements every 2 minutes. And it cleaves, which feels good. And because it's Alice Yua's favorite button, it's goated. So Assize, White Mage's second AoE healing OGCD. However, it also does damage. So while it does do damage, it's nice, but it's also kind of a downside because if you're trying to play White Mage a little optimally, you always want to rip Assize as soon as it's up, which means you're not really using it for its healing purpose. Sometimes it lines up nicely, which feels good, but unfortunately the healing is lost most of the time. However, because it does have 2 uses, you can manually choose to delay it for its healing uses, and it might not even lose a usage throughout the course of a fight. Being able to choose where to use your sizes, like either ripping it off the bat or just saving it a little bit to catch a really good lineup for healing throughout the fight, makes it a pretty interesting button. You get to actually exercise your decision making when it comes to this button, which is nice. And I appreciate that game design. And plus the twirl you do, it's kinda cool. Twirls are sick. Aqua Veil, it's just a single target mitigation, 15% on a target for 8 seconds. Most of the time you just slap it on a tank and it makes them a little safer if they forget something. However, mid cheats aren't ever designed to require healer support on tanks. Because of that, it doesn't ever actually feel impactful because it's never actually strictly needed. Most of the time you just throw it on a tank and they would have survived without it anyways. But you know what? It's not Crisis, so thumbs up emoji. Not the best, but not the worst. Afflatus Solus, your single target Lily. It's a upgrade compared to Cure 2 because it charges the Blood Lily. However, single target healing with GCDs isn't something you really do a lot in XIV. Most of the time you'd rather use your Lily charges for AoE healing, and for single targets you still have Tetras and Benisons anyways. Very rarely you'll use this, but it's better than Cure 2. AoE Lilies. So this thing single-handedly makes White Mage a relevant healer. It's a 0 mana cost, instant cast AoE heal, which is extremely useful in almost every combat encounter. It's DPS neutral because using it charges the Blood Lily, and it also gets buffed by Confession. So using Confession plus Afflatus Rapture is just a ton of AoE healing that you can use flexibly. In my opinion, it's the single best heal in the game because it kind of carries an entire job. You get 3 of these a minute, which is really great, and White Mage without this would be extremely unfun to play. You can use it during downtime for ultimates, has extra damage, and yeah. AoE Lily, my beloved. In a similar vein, the Blood Lily, aka Misery. AoE Lily and Blood Lily goes hand in hand because without the other, it becomes pretty underwhelming. But together, they are a synergistic duo of the ages. Blood Lily makes the AoE Lilies become damage neutral because 3 Lilies plus a Blood Lily is equivalent to 4 glares. And when this thing direct crits, it's like dropping a nuke, man. I don't think you're gonna get much bigger dopamine hits than when this thing crits. Now, the icon pack didn't have the dash either, and honestly, the dash is great. I find myself using it to bail my sorry butt out in bad situations. Having it honestly makes me play sloppier because I know I can just use it as a crutch, but it feels good, and it's honestly, unironically, maybe one of the main things White Mage has over Astro at the moment. And that's it. That's my tier list. I guess I can sort them by rank within the tier. Alright, so within the tiers, I've reordered it to look something like this. If you disagree with me, well, good job. You have better taste than me. Anyways, goodbye. I can't believe you listened to me yap for 10 minutes. Shouldn't you be doing something better?